Welcome to the Wizard of Cause, your go-to podcast for social impact, where we speak to innovative businesses, how they give, and of course, the charities that they love and inspire them. Now, whether you're an entrepreneur, a startup founder, or a business professional looking to stay ahead of the curve, the Wizard will show you how to build lasting social impact on the world. Are you ready to grow, give, and be inspired? Let's get started.
Hey, are you looking to scale your business from five figures to six figures or six figures to seven figures? If you are, I have the perfect thing for you. What I want you to do today is I want you to go download a book. This book is going to take you through my 3-pillar system. It's 100% free. All you have to do is go to growfast.cash. I say again, go to growfast.cash and you're going to be able to download my free international best-selling book, which is called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. You can take that book. It's going to help you scale your business to the next level. Again, go download it. Be good, be brief, be gone. Growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash. Enjoy.
We're here today, and I'm getting to introduce somebody who's been my best friend on the planet for at least 9 days now, almost 9 days. This is Richard Foster, and he does a lot of work with children. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag. They always say children and animals lead the way, right? When you're talking about charities. But Richard does the hard work, right? They come out, they work with guys like us. They're always thanking us. We're like, no, you do the 10 times, harder work because you go out there on a day-to-day basis and you work with these children. Richard, thank you so much for being in here with us today. For the kids in the back, introduce yourself, even though I've just done it, but say your name again, Richard Foster, and tell us who S&F Athletes is.
Well, my name is Richard Foster. I am the executive director of S&F Athletes. We originally started this organization to work with student athletes. And 4 years into of us being in existence, we kind of went back to the table and we wanted to make a bigger impact. Not saying we wasn't making an impact, but we kind of wanted to make a bigger impact. We kind of wanted to, what we was bringing to the table, kind of stick with the kids at a young age, and it's with them as they get older. So we decided to work with all kids, and you don't have to be a student athlete. So we decided to work with all kids between that age, 5 to 12, males and female. Our focus is offering kids life skills that, as we was growing up, we was taught life skills. We were taught skills that we would need and we still using today. At the same time, we want to be able to help that kid find a God-gifted talent. And we feel, kind of give you an example, we feel that if you had a plate in front of you and it had different items of food on it, as a kid, that kid will look at that plate, and if it's something they don't recognize, they're going to frown at it, and look at you crazy. The ones that they recognize, they will smile and they'll give you feedback on it. But the ones that they don't know, those are the ones that we want them to taste. We want them to be able to taste it and see what it tastes like before you knock it. And a lot of times they when they hadn't experienced something and they taste it, and all of a sudden, oh, I like this taste. It's the same thing that we try to put in front of them to try to find their God-gifted talent. We'll bring to the table a basketball coach that could teach them basketball skill, football skill, softball, baseball, volleyball, dance, taekwondo. These are the things that we bring to the table on the physical aspect of it that will help them find a niche in maybe something physical activity wise. But the life skill wise, one of the topics that we finna start on is self-discipline. And we all have to take that and use it from the time we could probably say the word up until the time we'll call until the time we're probably called home. So, but that just gives you an example of, one of the topics that we have in our curriculum that we teach them when you're talking about teaching them life skills.
So then I got to ask, what inspired you to get to the point where you're like, we got to get some life skills in here. We got to find a new flavor on the plate for these children because they're missing an opportunity, right? I mean, you might have a world record, athlete or musician, or let's just for even all those, each and every child is their own little ball of potential, right? You don't have to become a billionaire. You don't have to be one of those things. But what inspires the jump into that realm, right? Because I mean, you want to talk about, one of the things business owners say is if they're going to start a new business, as one guy said, uh, starting a new business, thinking about starting a new business is like staring into the abyss and eating glass. And I'm like, you decide to stare into the abyss and eat glass while holding nine children or so at a time, and to jump in wearing fiberglass clothing. So, exactly tell me what inspired you and then a team to sit there and say, this is our realm. This is what we've got to do.
Well, what inspired me growing up, I grew up, having both of my parents, and I grew up in a family of seven. So I had two brothers and four sisters. So, but we grew up in a house where we had mom and dad, and that old saying that people may say it doesn't, it's not there today, but it is. That old saying, it takes a village to raise a kid. And, growing up, I grew up with label LD, a learning disability. So that there was a route that I took through the school system that me personally was embarrassed that I couldn't learn like the other kids can learn. I couldn't uh, absorb something that they will absorb a lot faster. So I had to go a different route. So I was able to graduate from high school, but during my time in school, you know, I was one of those kids that would act out. And the reason I would act out was because I had uh, a learning disability that, I was embarrassed of. So for me to not allow people to know I had that, I would act out. I would misbehave. And it got to the point to where a teacher would see me coming down the hall and then, oh, here come that kid, Richard Falls up. Ooh, let me get ready. So it was just one of those things where, that's what I grew up with. But I was able to, once I made it to the seventh grade, and you guys that probably don't know, seventh grade is when you start, as they call it, organized sports. So I was able to start playing football and loved it. And that's what helped me get through, my from seventh grade on until I graduated from high school because I got to play football and loved it and was good at it. I wasn't great at it, but I was good at it. And I was one of those kids. I was a big kid, so the coaches seen me and it was like, ooh, we want this kid. Not realizing, yeah, you may want me because I may look good, but I had that behavior issue. So you get the full package, you just don't get parts of it. But
It all comes together.
yes, now you don't get just parts that you like. But I played football throughout my junior high and high school. I was able to graduate from high school. I was able to earn a scholarship to play football. I played 2 years at Tyler Junior College, and then I transferred from there and went to Angelo State and played 2 years. I ended up playing with three guys that did make it to the NFL, and growing up as a kid with a learning disability, and but yet you got the opportunity to play a sport that you just love. You had dreams, and I was one of those kids that I had to dream of. Hey, I'm gonna play professional. not realizing God had another path for me, but that's and that's another story within itself. But so I graduated from high school, went to college, and still had that mindset. But at the same time, keep in mind, I still had that disability. So there was adjustment I had to make coming from junior high, high school, going into college. There was a transition I had to make and didn't know how to. So that was just something I had to figure out on my own. So, to go kind of shorten the story, after I finished my eligibility in college, I ended up getting a job at one of the recreation centers at, there in San Angelo. And that's where I felt I found my calling. Because working in a facility like that, and it was a juvenile facility, not a recreation, a juvenile facility where, where kids get basically locked up. But I was able to connect with a lot of those kids that came in there. I was able to sit and talk with them. And believe it or not, a lot of them would listen to me. So that's what kind of led me to working with kids. And from that point, I end up getting married, having two kids of my own, going back to school, got my college degree, finished my college degree, moved to the Dallas Fort Worth area, got a teaching coaching job in Irving, and that's where that kind of took off. And from that point on, it was like, no, this is my calling. This is what I love doing. And when you interact with a kid, that kid listen to you and take what you said, that's big. So that kind of inspired me to want to do more. I just, in the teachers educate professional. So I talked to a couple other guys. They came in with me, and that's how we was able to start the organization SNF Athlete. And like I said earlier, the original plan was to work with student athletes, and what sparked it at the work with kids at that 8th grade on up was the high school I was working at. We attended a National Signing Day, and that's huge here in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
We attended the National Signing Day there at the high school I was at, and up on that stage, and I remember just like it happened yesterday. It was like 12 kids, maybe 13 kids, up on that stage to sign a letter of intent. And it was like, man, it should be way more kids than that up there on that stage to sign this letter of intent. So that's what really got my juice flowing and really jumped into starting this organization. And we was able to start the organization and able to implement it into one of Irving High School. So our first year of being in existence, we was in one high school. Going into our second year, we picked up additional 3 more schools. We picked up 2 more high schools and 1 junior high in Irving.
Oh, wow.
Going into our third year, we was picking up 6 more additional schools. That's how much of a need that our program was in need of. And then too, at the same time, you looking at 2 guys coming into a school system where a lot of kids was looking up to. So going into our third year, we was picking up 6 more additional schools. Well, the district we was in, which was Irving, switched superintendents. So it changed the process of how we came into the new superintendent and how they brought in new policies and rules. So that kind of X'd us out. So that's when we kind of went back to the drawing table and said, you know what, guys, yeah, they said that we could no longer perform in the school, but this shouldn't stop us, and it didn't. So that's where we end up implementing our after-school mentoring program at the rec centers in Irving. Mm-hmm. But we had decided to work with kids from that age 5 to 12 from males and females. It doesn't matter if you play sports or not. It was about working with kids that could benefit from our program. And that's how the program, that kind of give you a little bit of history of the program and what inspired me to be able to work with kids and continue to work with kids. I wouldn't change it for the world. But if you had asked me this probably 30, 45 years ago, I would tell you crazy in the head. I ain't working with these kids, but I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Well, working with somebody said years ago, they were a basketball coach for seventh grade boys, and they said basketball coaches for seventh grade boys go home to Jesus a little earlier, right? And so now you're working with these kids, and I think he would sit there and have his hand on your shoulder, and you're like, now we're working with, children, I'm sorry, up to 12 or up to 13.
5 to 12.
5 to 12, right, right, and that's got to be rewarding. I mean, it's such a special formative age. But so, what is then? You've got this storied career, and you're blowing out, these schools, and all of a sudden, you're going wider and wider, and it's such a pain when somebody comes in and says, "Well, it wasn't my idea, so I'm going to do something radically different," right? I mean, that's we're not going to point any fingers or names or anything, but that I think that's the definition of insanity. But so now working with these children, it's a younger, right? It's a younger audience. What's the mission of FNS athletes, um,
What
and and
our
and and what services then do you offer these children, on a daily basis?
Well, our mission is to work and develop young men, young women, ages 5 to 12 into well-rounded individuals by teaching them life skills and fostering their passion for education, technology, health, and wellness,
Mhm.
and through mentorship and a structured community-based programming is our mission. And when you think of our mission and what it says, it just goes hand in hand with what we're trying to do. And teaching these kids life skills. And I gave you an example of one of the topics that we have in our curriculum that we teach them, and just kind of give you an idea how we break that down. We don't just tell the kids the words, because you're talking about an age group between 5 and 12, male and female. So we take that word and we break it down for them. We teach them how to spell it. And of course, you're going to have some that will know how. You're going to have some that not going to know how. So we teach them how to spell it. We teach them the meaning of the word. We give them examples of the words and the characteristic of the word. So we break that word down for them. And then we start allowing them to use it in their day-to-day life. So you know, at One Direct Centers, we meet at that rec center 4 days a week. So that means we're there offering our mentoring program 2 days a week for an hour. And then that second hour, because we're there 2 hours, and that second hour is when we incorporate the physical activities. And to have a kid, I'll give you an example. What the other
I
word
love
that we was
examples.
doing, the other word we was doing was obedient. And we got a 5-year-old. He's a male. And, and I was, just playing with him, joking with him. And I go up to him. I said, I know what you guys went over today. Spell obedient for me. He starts spelling it. He'll pause because he got stuck. And I'll pronounce the word again. He'll start back over, start spelling it. And yes, I had to pronounce the word several times until he got it. But it wasn't the point of me saying the word 6, 7 times and him getting it. It's once he got it, it was one of those things where his chest went up, his shoulders went back, and it was like, man, I spelled a big word. And look at me. And I tell people,
That's
you
amazing.
can't
I
put a
love
you
that.
you you can't put a dollar amount on that. when a kid accomplished something, you just shot their self-esteem up. Now you just created something in him or her that they didn't think they have. Another story I share with you. We have a Taekwondo instructor come in,
Mhm.
and they have been working with the kids for a while, and they decided that this day they was going to have the kids come in and break the board.
Mm.
So, a couple of
That's a little
older
rubber
kids,
meets the road, right?
yeah. So, a couple of the older kids went in front of this kid, and this particular kid at the time was 6. So, other kids went before him. John comes up, he hit it. It didn't break. So the instructor, coached him up. He hit it again. It didn't break. All of a sudden, you just saw his shoulder just drop, and that look on his face. The instructors coached him up again. When I tell you, he hit it that third time and he broke it. And you would have thought somebody had gave him $1 million. He jumped up and down, and in the room that we're in, there's mirrors on the
Oh,
wall. I
oh,
am
that's
not
fun.
joking. And I'm just watching him. He went over to that mirror,
Oh, why is that so
and you can
funny?
and you can see him just posing.
Right, right.
I broke that board. And when you see something like that, and when you experience something like that, that if that doesn't bring joy to your heart, then I
You
really
need a
don't know.
defibrillator, because you're dead. If the best thing that happened to that kid is, I mean, there are a couple of them, but that he didn't break it the first time. He
Yeah,
wouldn't, he had to have the defeat, and then he did it again. He defeated again, but luckily, God blessingly, that guy was still, no, 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 keep going, keep going.
yes.
You want to talk about a life skill? Life isn't easy, right?
But think
They
of the
say,
word,
life
but think of
gives
the
you
word
lemons,
that go
make
with that.
lemonade. No, no, not unless you also get the sugar in the water in the glass and
Yeah,
the ice. You
yes. But think of the word that go with that, resilient.
Mm,
He could have quit. He could have said, "Oh, forget that. I can't do it." But the instructors didn't let him get to
right,
that point, and they showed him that if you be resilient and don't quit,
right.
you can be successful. And I know people associate successful with having a degree, going to college, in this high position. That's not being successful. And the one thing that we work on when we work with our kids is you don't have to go to college to be successful. You can work on a trash truck and be successful. So it's not about you going to college. It's not about you having a college degree. It's about you doing something with your life positive that you will be able to help others with.
Amen.
And that's the thing that we try to get across to them. Because every kid is not going to college. Everybody's not going to college. You got billionaires didn't even go to college.
Right.
And it's not saying that you have to go to college, but it is saying that you have the opportunity to be successful even if you don't go to college. And you can be just as successful as those that did go to college.
I'm going to tell you right now, my grandmother, if she were still with us and she had heard that story about that little boy breaking, just he,
Oh,
her statement would have been, "Well, that just fills my little love tank right up."
Looking to grow your business beyond 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures plus, what I want you to do is go download this book. The title is called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. It will help you grow your business past 5, 6, and 7 figure. Go download the book today, growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash, and download the book for absolutely free.
Right? I mean,
yeah,
that's the, I'd do the job for 5 years and have that one reward, and like it was all worth it, right?
yes,
It was all worth it.
yes.
So I'm going to ask you a little odd question. Being somebody, right now, you were not the young man at one point that you were kind of growing up to be, right? I
Nope.
mean, you were a problem. And you're a bigger kid. Big kids can grow up to be a big man. You could have been a problem for a lot of people, right? So let me ask you a question, because I think I think I know the answer in S and F. What point in Richard's life would you have liked to have been able to go back and have that mentor reach back and talk to him and say, "Son, we just got to try to hit that board a couple of more times," right?
Yeah.
Because you were going through a learning disability and and kind of swinging it around in front of you as a club to keep it out, and then you're this big loving individual that works with all these children on a daily basis. If you could go and grab yourself at a certain age, what age would that be that you would go back and talk to Richard?
5, age 5,
Not 9, not 10, not 13, not
5.
15, you
When,
5.
and the reason I say that is because when I look back at the part that I can remember,
Mm-hmm.
when I look back at, when I was 5 and the kids I'm working with now that is 5, there was so much I missed, as in having someone in my corner that understood what I was going through
Mm-hmm.
and was able to coach, be a mentor, and assist me through those times that I didn't understand. I didn't understand why me, why I'm having this issue, why am I
Right,
labeled LD. I
right.
didn't understand that, and it got to a point to where it was frustrating because I mean, I hang out with all my homeboys. We do things, but at the same time, things that they could do, I couldn't do. And not because I couldn't do it, it would be because I would be embarrassed. Because if I couldn't do it at the speed they was doing it, I felt like I was a loser. And
Mm-hmm.
and that was just something that I had to overcome. But that also tells you that now that I look back at it, well, he had a plan for me, a plan I didn't know nothing about.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And that's why I love doing what I'm doing now. I really would. And I know people may say, "Oh, you lying," but I'm not. If you know the patience you have, the endurance you have, the self discipline you have to work with kids, and you ain't working with your kids. You're working with other people's kids, and helping them get on that level because you have experience where they're going.
Right.
So, to answer your question, it would be 5.
You know, I hate the label and that you had to carry that cross for a while. I mean, science proved that man could not break the 4 minute mile. And one person who was obviously a good runner anyway, but didn't believe that, and he broke the 4 minute mile, and it had never been broken. What happened? It's some incredible number. Like then within 12 months, like 118 other athletes broke the 4 minute mile. Right? It's the old saying: if you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. You know. And unfortunately, Richards had to carry that label around. But I think it gives you now such a soft and gentle hand in working with these children. And I love that you gave me two different stories, right? Because one is an entirely cognitive thing, and when you get to learn earlier that you can tackle something, one's a little mental, right? It's obedience, and I just spelled this thing. There's a point where you tell a small child you're going to be able to spell a word like America that looks like it's got 38 letters in it, right?
Yeah,
Or obedience or something. They're like,
yeah,
what? What?
yeah. Oh yeah,
And the other one's physical. but he's still trapped in his own brain, right? And I can't do it. And then he did it a second time. This is reinforcing I can't do it. That is such a mental hole to be in. No, you can, and go back. And then that third time, I can imagine that kid just walking around,
Oh, I
like a
mean,
rooster for the rest of
you
the week on that one.
you would have thought he was the biggest kid in that room when he did that,
This makes me happy.
and that just
Oh
warmed
my
my
God.
heart to see that kid that was
Oh,
able to break that board, and oh man, that just shot his self-esteem up.
I
And
bet.
we have kids now that before we get there and I'm there doing stuff, getting things set up for for us to start, and you can see him, you can hear him walking around. When we was on the word obedience, I can hear them walking around practicing spelling it because they know the mentors is going to question them. The mentors is going to challenge them. So they was practicing, how to spell the word, and they was practicing with each other. And that's the other thing that teamwork. You know, if you guys work together and help each other, can you guys imagine what you would be able to accomplish
Oh, that's
if you
fantastic.
guys work together? And
Right.
to watch them work together, correcting each other, and not putting each other down. There's a difference in correcting each other and putting each other down. They ain't putting each other down. They're correcting each other.
Iron
And
sharpens iron. Right.
yes,
We're working
yes,
for the same goal. Then, it's you've got a superpower, you've got a different one, you've got a different one. Let's make a superhero team. Let's all do it
yes,
together.
yes.
That's incredible. So let me ask you a question. And this seems like a loaded question, forgive me. Because in some ways, everything that we do is almost the exact opposite of this. But people are curious in terms of, because it shows just the day-to-day work. So in terms of all the things that S&F does, how do you use the funds, that come in? What are your pieces, and how does that go out into the world?
Well, how we use it, and when I say, well, let me first say we're on a serious skeletal budget. So there's a lot that we can't
We're
we
gonna do
can't
something with
do.
that, Richard. We're about to put you in front of 15 million people every 90 days, and
Oh,
they got
well,
to
we
know
can.
what you're doing.
Oh, but what we do, our focus is making sure, first of all, our mentors are prepared.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so, of course, when a person wants to be a mentor, they have to go through the process, fill out an application, go through a background check, kind of a interview with myself and our program manager. That and that interview is not the interview and say we want you or not. That interview is to see, are you a fit? Because even though you may love kids, these kids you you better greatly love, because they gonna challenge you every chance they get. And a lot of the kids that we work with are from single parent homes, and a lot of them don't have that male figure around. So, and when they see me, they call me the grandpa figure. I'm the grandpa. Miss Foss, you old, you don't know what's going on. And I'm okay with that. But at the same time, those kids know I got their back. I'm there for them.
Right.
So any funds come in, our focus is to make sure our mentors have the proper training that they need, the coaches as well, because we do have coaches come in working with them on physical activity skills. And the other thing is making sure we have the proper material that we have, the facility that we're in. We making sure that is appropriate for them as well, and that environment need to be a safe environment. The other thing that, of course, goes toward the operation of the organization as a whole.
Mhm.
So those are the areas that most of the funding go to when you're talking about the programs and the organization as a whole. And for us to expand our program into other recreation centers, and by me saying that, we have to expand into two other rec centers. But one rec center, we meet there 4 days a week. These other two that we have picked up, we starting out meeting there 1 day a week, and hopefully that will pick up and we'll be able to pick up more days. But to be able to do that's where a lot of the funds go to as well, especially when we move to a different location and we're able to implement our program into a different location. We need the funds to be able to support the mentors, be able to support the program as a whole.
Oh yeah.
And the other thing that we hoping that we will be able to do is to transport kids. Right now we're limited, and we fortunate and blessed that the rec centers that we are implementing our program out of in Irving is right next to an elementary school. So
Oh yeah. Ooh.
there's not a lot of marketing that we have to do because the kids is right next door to these rec centers. So that's a big plus for us as well. But you also have kids that will be interested in our program but can't get to our program. And keep in mind, we're dealing with a lot of single mothers and fathers. So we can't transport them because, again, we don't have the funds to be able to do that. And that would be the other place, another area that the funds will go to that will provide us to be able to get a van to transport these kids from A to B.
I hate that any worthy cause is doing less of what they're doing because of a few bucks,
yeah.
right? I mean, it's why I built the entire thing is because I think you should be able to get long-term funding. And I know everybody likes to discuss how the funding is being used. With you, it's more of the discussion of, what are the limitations? Because like this comes out, you've got children. It works when you're right next to an elementary school. But if people don't know, it's the program. Imagine that little boy not having somebody right there to coach him a little bit and having his friends with him and working and getting through that obedience. I don't want the lack of that light in the world, right? I want that beam to come off that kid's face. I want that boy walking around puffed up because he failed twice, but he came back again, and he realized he wasn't the little engine that could. He was the little engine that dadgummit did it.
And let me share this with you.
Mm.
The other thing that we try to put on events
Mhm.
that will encourage the kids, motivate the kids, but at the same time, make them feel special. We got an event that we're putting on next week, and we calling it our fall party.
Mhm.
And it's games that spread out in the area that we're in, and the kids is able to go to each station, and it's a game. It's just a different game,
Right.
and they're able to play that game and win tickets.
Oh, cool.
And they have to accumulate so many tickets to be able to go to the prize table and pick a prize.
D-ball.
So that's one of the things that we, part of our funding would go to be able to put events together that they could go to and enjoy themselves. The other thing is we putting together a store for the kids. And I got to share this story with you. When we first started this, we had a kid, and to us, a bottle of water is just a bottle of water. What's the big deal?
Right.
This particular kid had earned enough, and we call them S&F bucks, had earned enough bucks to go into the store and shop. And he went and picked up a bottle of water. And we have the kids that could run the cash register. Right. And he asked that the other students that was running the cash register, how much is this? And she told him. He said, really? He said, yes. He gave her whatever the amount she said to him, gave it to her, and I am not joking. He picked up that bottle of water like he had bought 5 or 6 bags of groceries. He was so proud of himself that he spent his money that he earned on a bottle of water. And to us, it's just a bottle of water, not to him, because he was able to earn the bucks to buy that water. And when you see stuff like that, it just goes through you. But at the same time, this is something that you want to continue to do, and not just in that one location. You want to spread it around as much as you can, because you know what it does to kids when they're able to see what they are capable of doing. And that right there, when I saw that, I'm thinking, you know what? It doesn't matter if we got it or not. This is something we need to continue to do.
That brings it on home for me. One does it because it's all mental, right? When he learned that obedience. The other one, uh, when he smashes that board after a couple of failures, and then this one, you've just taught him finance, right?
Yes,
You can
yes,
work for it, you can get the money, and then the freedom that buys you because you bought that. You didn't have to ask for it, right? You didn't have to
yep.
do anything. That is something created by your own hands. I love it. Unfortunately, we got to wrap up, but I want to say something real quick again, as I always do. I love that there's somebody here, and we see from his own history, we know why he's doing it. But the thing I hate most in the world is that we have people in the world doing good in the world because that's in their heart to do it, and they're limited by a few dollars. Imagine turning away a child because of a few more bucks. It's insane,
Yep.
right? So if you remotely, if the story of that boy breaking that board didn't break your heart a little bit, you need to have you died. You're a zombie, and nobody told you. Nobody told you you died last week, right? Something happened in the middle of the night. If you have a business and you're remotely inspired by Richard, which is the most gentle, loving drill instructor a child can ever have in their life, if you're remotely inspired by that, your business, as you know, that's what we do, can give to them without ever writing a check, right? You let Visa, MasterCard give to them, and they would be giving to them in perpetuity. Richard, it's November right now. The video can be watched at any time, but 13 years ago this month, our first client came on to give to their charity, right? And I love to say they have never left, as all of our business, right? Because when they come on, they're like, I love my charity. I love SNF. And you made it a win for my business. Now I've automated my giving, right? I can support something like SNF into long term. 13 years later, that business, a little bigger than your average business, right? But they put more than $1.5 million into their charity alone. Can you imagine? Right? Over and over and over. So if you're remotely inspired by Richard and his stories, or you're dead, and you love what SNF does, you don't want to have one child turned away because a few more bucks. Click the link below. We'll show you how it works and say, I want to make SNF my automatic donation, and we'll help them out because Richard does the hard work, right? He's in front of the kids every day. All we do is sign up to be his supply sergeant to let him do his work a little bit more easily. Richard, thank you so much for coming on with us today. Just like last time, I always have a blast when we're chatting, and I think you should come back. um, we often say come back once a year and tell us how you're doing. I think you need to come back in about 6 months and tell us some more of these stories and let us keep getting that in front of a wider audience.
Well, let me first say thank you for allowing me this opportunity and speaking on, the behalf of a lot of our kids, because me sitting here, being here, is their voice, not my voice. It's their voice. And I'm thankful that you gave me this opportunity. And I want to end this by saying anyone is welcome to come visit. Come watch us in action. Come interact with these kids. I can assure you that if you come interact with them, you're gonna want to take them home with you.
You're not allowed to.
No, you're
You're
not
not
allowed
allowed
to.
to,
Not allowed to. But that's how much you would love being around
but
them.
you gonna fall in
And
love with
and
it.
and and you use the number 13.
Hmm.
This is our 13th year.
Oh my gosh. How fortuitous is that? Look at that. Well, don't ever thank me. You do the hard work. I'm just here to help. So, Richard, again, thank you so much for being with us, and my friend. I will see you soon.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, we all want to scale our business. Hey, I have the answer for you today to help you do that. If you're looking to scale from 5, 6, even 7 figures and beyond, book called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. I'm going to give it to you for free. All you have to do is type in growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash, and you can download the book for absolutely free. I hope the book helps you this year. Take your business to the next level. Again, go grab the book, growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash. I wish you the best and grow, scale, and win.
That wraps up today's episode of The Wizard of Calls. We hope you've enjoyed the insights and ideas shared in today's conversation. Now, if you found value in this episode, don't forget to subscribe and tell us how we're doing. Your feedback helps us bring you more content that matters. And of course, stay connected with us for updates, tips, and more. Until next time, keep giving, take care, and keep making an impact.
There it is. Magnum. Holy moly.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for!
Dear God. It's beautiful.